Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome back to third segment of this week's Weekend with Wisdom with Swamini Svatmavidyananda ji. She has been teaching about the philosophy of Kaivalya Upanishad and how it prepares one to attain self-knowledge. And without further ado, I would request Swamini ji to start her session. But just one point, I would repeat that post your questions on Q&A box, and Swamini ji will take it up at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Going to the teacher, Ashvalayana, the sage, who approaches the teacher, Lord Brahmaji here, approaches him with a question. And that is the question we will see for the next two sessions. We'll see the question briefly and we will see the answer of Lord Brahmaji in greater detail. Okay. So the question that is posed by the sage itself is very revealing. It's for us, for the sage Ashvalayana, it's a question. But for us, the seeker, for anybody who identifies as a seeker, it is more like an answer, because the question is at such a level that it reveals Ashvalayana's already pre-existing knowledge about this. In fact, one wonders, why did he go to the Guru? That also will be discussed, as in the consequence of this topic, in the consequence of dealing, as a consequence of dealing with this topic. So let us look at the question. He goes, approaches the teacher, as we said, vidhivat, and then he says, adhihi bhagavaha, adhihi bhagavo brahma vidyam varishtham, sada sadbhihi sevyamanam nigodham, yaya achirat sarva papam vyapohya, parat param purusham yati vidvan. And from the question itself, we can gauge his preparation that we talked about yesterday, the six-pack, the Shamadhi Shatka Sampattihi, and which is included in the four-pack, which is what? Sadhana Chatushtaya. All this is very evident in the question itself. Bhagavaha, O Lord, Adhihi. Adhihi means teach me. Teach me. And teach me what? You have to say, is it some kind of how to cook this, or how to go here, or some very interesting dance moves? No, he goes straight to the point. Brahma vidyam adhihi. This adhihi literally means teach me. It's an imperative mood in the Sanskrit language. Lot, imperative mood means what? There is a kind of an urgency. It's almost like he feels so close to the teacher and he feels that he is prepared for this knowledge. So it's like an order. Jalam anaya. There is no please, bring me water. There is no please about it. There is no will you, can you, nothing. There is just Jalam anaya, bring me water. This is something you will say to any, your household member, friend, anybody, hey, bring me some water. Jalam anaya. And there is an urgency. Don't bring jalam in my next life, don't bring me water. Bring me water right now. Abhi, now. you know so this adhihi, the mood, the imperative mood, brings with us a certain kind of an order. And how does Ashvalayana, who is addressing Bhagavan as the teacher as Bhagavan, hey Bhagavaha, it almost seems contradictory. So, Bhagavan, you go with folded hands and then you are supplicating yourself. There is surrender, there is respect, but then there is also an order. How do the two go together? The two go together because there is a natural law that when there is preparation, there is the self knowledge. Adhikritasya adhikara. I told you yesterday, this adhikara is there. The person is a candidate for knowledge, self knowledge. And the person here, the sage Ashvalayana, has no doubt about his qualifications, about his candidacy, and with great confidence he says adhihi. Another meaning of adhihi, there is an urgency. Teach me now, because I can't stand this self ignorance even for one more second. Right now I want it. Right now, teach me, give me. Like sometimes when you go to the temple with a certain urgency, so you tell Bhagavan, make me well right now. Let me have this right now. There is a kind of a closeness. There is a kind of a closeness for this demand, which is a valid demand, because you go to the teacher to ask for knowledge, and the demand shows the urgency. you know so, and adhihi also technically because it comes in all the Upanishads, and the in the Taittiriya Upanishad also adhihi comes, and somewhere else also adhihi comes. you know Adhihi bhagavo brahma. Then who says this? Bhrigu says to his father, Bhrigur vai varunihi varunam pitaram upasasara. He approaches his own father, you know, this Bhrigu, and then says, Adhihi bhagavo brahma. Teach me Brahman, O revered sir. You are my father, but you are now, I invoke the teacher in you. You know this. All this time I have seen you just as my father. Now I am seeing the teacher in you. Adhihi. So since there is a recurrence, we see that there is some kind of a technical, understanding of the word other than the grammatical understanding we have just seen. And what is that technical, the Shastric understanding, that Shastriya understanding of the word adhihi, other than its immediacy that it conveys, or other than the candidacy of the person who is asking for it, that righteousness of the candidacy which has been earned through lot of effort, that also it conveys. In addition, adhihi has a very interesting meaning, madartham smara. Madartham smara means, you're asking the teacher to teach, but the teacher has no need to teach. The teacher says, if the teacher says, I don't need to teach. Why? Because you're the one who is ignorant. I already have knowledge and I have other, things to do in the world. Maybe I'm writing a book. Maybe I'm sitting in samadhi. Why should I teach you? So, so adhihi has the request here built in. The word itself has the built-in request. Madartham smara. Please recall. What do you teach? How do you teach? You please recall how it was for you when you approached your teacher. You see? This is a very safe and a beautiful thing here. You're transcending the personality of the teacher and catching hold of the parampara. Otherwise, one gets hung up on the personality of the teacher, how the teacher looks, how the teacher talks, what the teacher, what the teacher likes. You get hung up on the, not only are you bothered by your own ragadveshas, you get hung up on the teacher's ragadveshas also, or you imbue upon the teacher certain ragadveshas, and you catch on to that. That is what is a cult. Vedanta is not a cult. There is nothing cultish about it, because here you are asking the teacher to go back to his old days or her old days. And when she approached her teacher, what was it like for her? What was it like for her what was it like for him when he approached his teacher way back? Adhihi, madartham smara. And now the teacher cannot refuse. The teacher cannot say, I will not teach. Recall for my sake. Madartham Smara means, please recall for my sake. See how beautiful it is. Recall that Brahma Vidya, meaning not only what was taught to you is important, but the way in which it was taught to you, very, very important. That methodology, because the teaching is given along with the methodology, that epistemology of the teaching, please recall for my sake, sitting in front of you asking for this knowledge. Adihi Bhagavah, O revered sir, please teach me what Brahma Vidya, what is Vidya, Brahmanaha Vidya, Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Brahman. We cannot say here it is a Aupachariki Shashti, it is a sixth case, a genitive case we are using, but it is just for lip service, because knowledge of Brahman assumes that Brahman is an object about which there is some knowledge, how it looks, how big it is, what it likes, what it doesn't like, where it is situated, etc. So all these things are non-objectifiable. Brahman is everywhere, is everything, it is you, and so therefore you cannot have knowledge of Brahman. It's like, like if it's aupachariki shashti, it's an as though, lip service sixth case. Like saying the head of Rahu. Rahu is a shadow planet. Raho ho Shiravat. So Rahu is a shadow planet. And if you say head of Rahu, where do you go? It's just for the sake of, pointing out. Rahu is all head, or the tail of Ketu. The Ketu is all tail, Rahu is all head. So still we say head of Rahu. Similarly, the knowledge of Brahman, the sixth case here is as though it is the knowledge that is Brahman. Brahman is all knowledge. So in Rahu is all head, Brahman is all knowledge. So the sixth case doesn't have a grammatical sense here. So therefore, that Brahman which is not objectifiable, which is the truth of myself, which is, unfolded by Veda Vedanta, please teach me that. And then he knows something more about this knowledge. He says, what kind, and there are words that qualify this knowledge. Varishtham Brahma Vidyam Adhihi. Please teach me that knowledge which is Varishtha, the most exalted knowledge. Paravidya. Because it's not that the other knowledge, other bodies of knowledge are not exalted. That is not what is to take away from here. What is to take away from here is that this knowledge which is the most exalted, why? Because all other knowledges ensue forth, depend upon, resolve into, and are sustained by this knowledge alone. So this knowledge, is by itself self-standing, svatah siddha. This knowledge which really ends up in the statement, I am. That is what the knowledge. I am. I exist. This is the knowledge, self-standing knowledge. You don't have to ask somebody else, do I exist? And then if I ask, what is the proof that you exist? You say, I know I am. That know here, we unqualified by, a particular knower. You don't need a particular operation of a means of knowledge to understand that you exist. You don't need eyes, you don't need ears, you simply know. That knowing that you are a being, you are an existent being, that you are a knowing being. And how long are you a knowing being? Now, forever you are a knowing being. Endlessly. This is what is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is what is Satchidananda. This is that knowledge. And that knowledge is the most exalted because that is the most basic fundamental understanding of yourself as a knowing being who is free of all afflictions, all limitations. That knowing being, upon that depends branches such as psychology, all ologies. This ology is a Greek word, logos, knowledge. All other knowledge relative, this knowledge self-standing, non-negatable, absolute. All other knowledge relative, empirical, this knowledge is paramarthika, absolute. So therefore it is varishtha. Varishtha means it includes every other knowledge. Every other body of knowledge is dependent upon I am a knowing being, and then now I know psychology as an object, now I know geography as an object. But but then this knowledge transcends everything. It includes everything, but it is not any one thing in particular. It lends its sustenance, satta, spurti, it lends its very being to all other knowledges, but itself is apart. There's nothing like it. It is kevala. That which reveals yourself as Kaivalya. Of course it has to be Varishtha, the most exalted knowledge that there is. Please teach me that. And then he knows also the outcome of learning this knowledge. you know Yaya Vidwan, because of which the prepared person, the sage, the knowledgeable person here, Vidwan, what happens? Sarva papam vyapohya. Vyapohya means having cast off. Sarva papam. All the papas are gone as a result of this knowledge. Ayyo, I didn't know this. I thought the knowledge gives me, the knowledge gives me freedom from samsara. I didn't know that it takes away papa. What is samsara? Huh? Papa. Every day Papa is manifesting in so many forms. That is alone samsara. There is no other samsara than this Papa Punya cycle, which we traced back yesterday to Karta, Bhokta, Bhokta, Karta cycle. I am an agent, I am a doer, and I am unable to manufacture what I want. And then so that's then what happens? Then I have to do again because I am unable to accept the results of action. Then I do again. Then I am again unable to accept the results of action. This is what is Papa Punya cycle. This is what is Papa. And then, and it is clear that this Ashvalayana, the sage, has some idea of the Mundaka Upanishad, which declares Bhidyate Hridaya Granthihi Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshiyante Cha Asya Karmani Tasmin Drishte Paravare. Knowing this para means Brahman here, as non-separate from avara means jiva. Yeah, one meaning. So knowing this Brahman as non-separate from jiva, kshiyante cha asya karmani. Karmani means it is a plural, and since we have dual, it is three, for all three forms of karma that we talk about. Prarabdha, what you have to experience in this life. Sanchita, that invisible bank account where all the karmas are stored. Agami, what you are going to accrue in this life by the expenditure of the free will. This agami is applicable to only human life. Because a donkey, if it kicks, even if it kicks a sadhu, you have to question the karma of the sadhu, not the donkey. Donkey will not accrue you have to question the karma and the sanity of the sadhu who went and stood behind the donkey. You cannot question the donkey. The donkey, his nature is to kick. It is within the law. So therefore, this agami karma is only for the human being, human-like, being with free will. In any other loka also applicable. So these three karmas are gone. How are they gone? Because I thought karma doesn't go. That's what it keeps me going. Karma is gone because the karta is falsified. I am a karta, the notion is dropped, by which knowledge then the karma is also gone. Like if a person has a lot of wealth and then dies intestate, means what? Has not made a will. This much will go to the wife, this much will go to the husband, whatever it is. He or she dies intestate. Has not named any family members because maybe they were in the pink of health, maybe they didn't think they would die, but somehow, heart attack, road accident, something happened, person is gone. Then, there is so much money sitting in the bank account. I mean, later that different chapter, the spouse and the children will come and fight over it. We are not interested in that part of the example. That's not the example here. The example here, is simply to highlight the question: who does this, uparjitam, this dhanam, this money, this wealth that has been accrued by the man or the woman who is no longer alive on this earth, no longer in on the earthly plane. Who does this money belong to? Can you say the money belongs to that person? No, because the person has left. Similarly, this sanchita karma, all this sanchita karma, all the agami karma the person of knowledge will not do, because the person is free of kartritvam. All the, prarabdha karma also, prarabdha, the body continues even after knowledge, but the body continues for the others to see. The other people perhaps see the jnani falling sick, the jnani in the wheelchair, the jnani leaving the body, all that the other people see. And the other people say Jnani has got flu, Jnani has got some difficulty, Jnani has got heart trouble, Jnani has diabetes. This is what the people around say. The Jnani doesn't say I have diabetes. Yeah, that's why whenever you gave Pujya Swamiji any kind of sweet, he would eat. No problem. There was no, there is no body identification. The Jnani, for the Jnani, it is Tyakta Prarabdha. The Jnani has become the one who has given up the Prarabdha also, because there is very basically, like a thread of an identification may be there. Just enough to do, Sharira Yatra, the journey of the body. But other than that, there is not much identification at all. Very beautiful here. So all the karmas die because the karta in you dies. You don't die, you are immortal, Amrita. You know, you don't come to an end, but the kartritva buddhi comes to an end. I am karta, that wrong identification that we talked about. I am a desirer, I am a doer, now I am a, victim of my own doing. All that goes, beautifully goes. And then what remains is just this, this knowledge. You can enjoy this knowledge away from the grip of samsara, from the grip of this all, papa punya, and this all, karmas, the karmic residues, no longer there. How wonderful it is. And Ashvalayana already knows that, and he says, yaya sarva papam vyapohya, by which knowledge, yaya, vidyaya, yaya brahma vidyaya, what sarva papam vyapohya, having got rid of all the papas. When achirat, this is very nice, this also Ashvalayana knows. Chirat means after a long time, achirat means not after a long time, you know and because you cannot put a timeline on Brahma Vidya. We can put a timeline on a retreat. Like this is a four talk weekend retreat. We can put a timeline. 10-day retreat, 1 month retreat, 3-year course of study. You can put a timeline on how much you're going to teach or how much you're willing to listen to. But you cannot put a timeline on how long it is going to take for one to understand and assimilate this knowledge. Why? Because it is not dependent. As I told you, this is not the knowledge is not an event, that is, self-knowledge is not an event that is happening to a self, so that you can have, some sadhus celebrate this. I don't know why. It is silly. Some sadhus celebrate Enlightenment Day. On this day I got enlightened. Ayyo. You know, this is not needed. This is completely unnecessary. Because this assumes that, that before this there was ajnanam, and on this day there is jnanam. And then what is this, and the Bhagavad Gita and all the texts tell us unequivocally, they tell us, they drill into our heads one thing and one thing alone. What do they tell us? They say, ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Bhagavan Krishna beautifully says in the 3rd chapter, that this ajnanam that we talk about is a avarana, is a covering. It's a covering. That jnanam is already you. That I know I am is already there. But I don't know what I am. I don't know that I am forever. And I don't know that I'm free of papa. I don't know I'm free of all the pains and sorrows. That has to be supplied by the Guru, by Vedanta. But this partial understanding, I know I am and I want to be forever, is already there. So therefore what? The Bhagavad Gita says, Ajnanena avritam jnanam. So this jnanam is eclipsed by this raga dveshas, by self-ignorance, which the broods of self-ignorance in the form of raga dveshas, anyatha grahanam, grasping what is, different from, grasping yourself as a finite entity when that is so far from the truth. And all this, it is avrita, there is avarna. There is a concealment of this jnanam, like even the sun that is covered by fog. And then, and a relative ajnani looking at the sky will say, oh, the sun is covered. And one of the students of Adi Shankara, Hastamalaka, says, is the sun covered or is your buddhi covered? Can the sun ever be covered? In fact, if you say it is a cloudy day, you know, and if you say it is a cloudy day, it is because of the light of the sun. You can even see the covering. घनच्छन्न घनच्छन्न दृष्टिः घनच्छन्नमर्कं मन्यते अतिमूढः. Somebody who is terribly deluded alone says that, oh, the sun is covered. Ayo murkha, ayo, you are deluded. Your vision is deluded. Your vision is covered. The sun is not covered. Your vision is covered by non-understanding. So here, this is what the whole thing is. So it is not that this jnanam is going to be, drilled into the head and planted there by the teacher. That is why it makes it, that's why the issue of, non-trusting of the vidya and the teacher need not come here. The teacher is merely jhadu wala or jhadu wali. Jhadu wala means a sweeper. The one who gets into your head, into the buddhi, and sweeps up, rakes up all the dried, raga dveshas, all kinds of dirt, dust, cobwebs, suspicion, doubt, fear, sorrow, etc. Clears the place so you can just have darshan of the goddess Meenakshi sitting within the buddhi. The teacher is just what is that? A cleaner. That is what the teacher is. And Sage Ashvalayana knows this very well. And he says, please, this is what. And then how long will this sweeping takes place? How hard the teacher has to work and how long the teacher has to work. The teacher cannot say, neither can you say. It depends on what the job there is to do, how many raga dveshas are there. In fact, it's a joint sweeping. You also sweep one side and the teacher also helps to sweep, and sometimes the teacher sits and points, you have missed a spot there, you have to go back and, clean here in this area. Very beautiful. So there cannot be a timeline. Therefore, but you cannot say it's going to take a long time, because how long does it take for you to recognize, for example, I am holding a pen in my hand? How long did it take for you to see the pen? It is instantaneous, because the eye is in the form of a means of knowledge, enough to appreciate the pen, to cognize the pen are open, and in fact you saw the pen. And if in fact it is so immediate and so sure that the knowledge of the pen instantaneously takes place, you can't will yourself not to see it. Suppose now if I hold the pen like this and say, please look at me, look into my eyes, but do not see the pen, you cannot oblige. You have to see the pen, because knowledge takes place. So knowledge is always achira, instantaneous, but then the assimilation may be inhibited by the prejudices, the strong prejudices and preferences and doubts and despair, everything lurking in the heart. Therefore, you don't know how long it will take. Achirena adhigachati, Bhagavan Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is to, have the hope that the knowledge will definitely come if the preparation is there. The preparation in fact is 9/10 of the knowledge. And then what? Parat param purusham yati vidvan. The wise person attains, gains, and again I have to put the word gains within apostrophes, as though gains, because it's a gain of something that is already gained, but it is, not understood. So one word I skipped, which I have to go back to, nigudham, not understood, nigudham. Nitaram Gudham, that which is the best kept secret. So the best kept secret is what? Let's say only I know it and I don't tell anybody else. That's the best kept secret. The Upanishad, coughs here, wanting to be let. It says, what? The best kept secret is that which you yourself also don't know. Nitaram Gudham, it is hidden even from you. Your own glory is the best kept secret. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, ninth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, opens with this, promise that, that I will teach you this king of knowledge, the secret of all secrets. And the best kept secret, as Bhagavan Krishna, says as a joke in the second chapter itself. Ascharyavat pashyati. People look upon it with wonder. The Vakta, the teacher, is always in wonder. Even though the teacher has studied, he delights in sharing this knowledge. The student, of course, is always in delight, listening to the knowledge. And then what? The greatest ascharya, the greatest wonder of all is, even after teaching, it is not understood. that's the greatest, perhaps irony, and that is perhaps the greatest, wonder of all. And then, then here also he says, he uses the word nigudham, deeply hidden. Nitaram gudham, always hidden. Nishchayena gudham, definitely hidden, because one is born in self-ignorance. Hidden from who? From you. That is when it is fun. That is why you need a teacher to, open the skull a little bit and let all the raga dveshas air out, and then so you can, see. So you can see your own glory. You can abide in your own glory as that, as that Brahman who is what? Described here as Parat Para. Para means beyond. What is beyond? Beyond now. What is this beyond? I thought beyond is everything. What is this beyond? But, the Shastra wants to make it extremely clear. One para, here is the cause, is the manifest cause of all the manifestations. How did this one Brahman, this Kevalam Kaivalyam Brahma, how did this one Brahman become many? This is a very, common question that is asked by people. How did this one become many? And that's why we always use the example of the pot, and then the pot and the clay, and then there may be 1,000 pots, 1,000 pieces of earthenware, but one clay, 1,000 ornaments, one gold. Like this we give the examples to assimilate that there is no becoming here. When you think of becoming, it's a very unbecoming thing to think of Brahman as becoming the Jagat. So therefore, what is brought in conceptually, what we bring in is a power, is an as though power of Brahman, Maya Shakti, whose power to manifest, she herself unmanifest, because you cannot really, she is also very difficult to objectify, being part of Ishvara. She's also not, she also cannot be objectified. She is unmanifest. And then manifest. So the manifest, is again Ishvara, but Ishvara with Maya Shakti manifest. Unmanifest is again Ishvara, but with Maya Shakti as a potential to create. But then if we keep on looking upon Ishvara as just the creator, then what happens? Then we miss out on a lot. Because then that Dvaita Bhava, that duality between myself as a devotee and the creator somewhere who is everybody, who is everything, not locally available, that doesn't go. And that duality is what needs to go. So therefore, you know, therefore the whole teaching, you know, deploys itself in the form of a very interesting equation. The equation is looking upon Ishvara without what we call Ishvaratvam, Ishvarahood. Yeah. Let's say Ishvara is wearing a crown. Yeah. This Ishvara is Brahman with a crown. What is Brahman? Myself as a self-conscious being, that consciousness, that self-awareness, that awareness without a second, that awareness which is Swatas Siddha, which does not need to be established by anything, any other source or force, and that awareness which is non-negatable, because I can never deny my own existence. This consciousness, this awareness alone is called Brahman. Kevala, this awareness is Brahman. And this awareness, qualified by the will to create along with the Shakti, is called Ishvara. So that awareness, upon this awareness is superimposed the creatorship. Yeah, creatorhood. So, you know, it's all, and that, and it is superimposed as though by what? By this as though Shakti, Maya Shakti. And like I have joked many times before, Maya is a seamstress. She is a, you know, designer seamstress par excellence. She has a boutique, Maya boutique. And then, you know, let's say, you know, Ishvara says, stitch me a gown. Who are you? I'm the creator. I'm all knowing. I'm all powerful. So what do you control? I control everything. I'm the Niyanta, Karta, Dharta, Bharta, Harta, Niyanta. I'm the controller of the whole universe. Make me a dress. And Maya, let's say, this is I'm imagining this, okay? Maya obliges, yes sir, and she makes Ishvara, for Ishvara she makes an elaborate satin gown, a velvet cloak, with what? Gold, you know, sun is there, moon is there, all the celestial bodies are the solar system, and the galaxies are the border of this cloak. Fantastic cloak, because Ishvara says, I'm the ruler, I'm the creator. And then Jiva says, I too want a cloak. He got such a nice cloak, I too want a cloak. Jiva also trots off to Maya and says, give me, you know, give me a cloak. Who are you? I'm miserable. I'm an idiot. I don't love myself. I'm full of fears and tears. Make me a dress. And Maya stitches a cloak which is full of rags, you know, patchwork, like some joker wears on the street, lined with teardrops. That is the border, full of teardrops. And the Jiva wears this and says, oh, I'm an idiot, I don't know. And Jiva sees Ishvara in the cloak, that same Brahman wearing the cloak of Ishvara, and says, oh, look at you, you're so glorious. Look at me, I'm so inglorious. This is the division, this is the divide. And what does Kaivalya Upanishad do? With the deployment of the Mahavakya, which we, you know, which we won't have a chance to see because we are not covering that. That's why I'm covering it right now. With the deployment of the Mahavakya, similar to Tattvamasi, you are that Jagat Karanam Brahma. You know, look beyond the cloak. Cast off your cloak of misery and look beyond this Ishvaratvam. We are not looking beyond Ishvara. There is a difference between Ishvara and Ishvaratvam, Jiva and Jivatvam. Jivatvam means Jivahood, Jivaness, again an abstract noun. Ishvarata or Ishvaratvam means Ishvarahood, again an abstract noun, you know, which is given by the suffix, you know, tva, tvam. And then, you know, so what is this abstract noun? The abstract noun is is qualifying that which is unqualified, as though qualifying something which is unqualified. Ishvara, Jiva, Satyam, yes, Jiva is Ishvara. Jiva is nothing other than Ishvara. But then that separation takes place when that cloak of misery is taken on as one's own, hugged and identified with. And so all that the Jiva has to do is cast off the cloak with the help of this knowledge. So casting off one's own cloak of misery is what is called in the technical analysis tvam pada vichara, an inquiry into the word you. Who are you? Are you this body? No, that's part of the cloak. Are you this miserable mind? That's part of the cloak. Are you the notions? That's the cloak. Cloak means that which hides. So you cast it off cognitively through this understanding. This is Tvam Pada Vichara. But the knowledge is not complete here because it is only half knowledge. Because the Mahavakya is what? Tattvamasi. That is the very quintessential Mahavakya. Tattvamasi. And this Tattvamasi is the Mahavakya, and this Tattvamasi means what? That you are this. You are this. So we have to do what is called Tatpada Vichara. You have to shake up this Ishwaratvam and you have to see that yourself as this Brahman first, beyond this body, mind, sense complex, and then you have to understand Ishvara as what? As someone who is occasionally a creator. When there is the cycle of creation, when there are things to manifest, when there are karmas to exhaust, then the Jagat expresses itself. Then in relation to the Jagat, Ishvara gets the crown. I am creator, I am Bhagavan, I have shed bhagas, 6 kinds of virtues, all knowledge, all resources, all Aishwarya, all overlordship, etc., etc. I have all these things. But that is an imbued and as though imposition, superimposition upon this Brahman who is free of Ishvaratvam, and the misery is an as though superimposition upon the same Brahman who is free of Jivatvam. Ishvaratvam is, is mithya, is an as though reality, as a dependent reality. And Jivatvam is also a dependent reality. And when I see that these are dispensable, these are not intrinsic to the definition of Brahman, these are just incidental to the definition of Brahman. These are not intrinsic to the definition of Brahman. Just like potness is not intrinsic to the definition of clay. When I see clay, I don't see pot. I see only clay. But the other way around you cannot say. When you see pot, you see clay. But when you see clay, you don't have to see pot. This is what is Parat Paraha. Parat Param, Parat Param Purusham. Purusha means Bhagavan here. Sarvan Purayati. That Bhagavan I have to see as myself. That Bhagavan I have to see as non-separate from myself through this operation of the equation of I on the one hand and Bhagavan on the other hand. I have to remove, this is through Lakshana, it is not through Vachya. If it is Vachyartha, if it is direct meaning, you are God. Many people think this. That belongs to what is called New Age movement, New Age psychology, and there is some New Age psychology which is what, this is some kind of a arapore, half-baked Vedanta, and they understand this Vedanta partially, and they will say, oh, this is, I am God. Therefore what? I want to now manifest money. And they will sit and try to do some kapola kalpita, some kind of imaginary, self-thought rituals. And then they cry, why am I not getting money? How come I'm still in the grip of karma? How come I'm going to die? Why am I doing this? Because that understanding is not there. That it's not the direct equation you as Bhagavan. No. That's impossible. That is foolishness. So how does the equation operate? The equation operates through, bhaga tyaga lakshana. Through lakshana, through indicative words. Words that indicate you who cannot be defined, who is already self-evident. So we have certain indicatory words. Sat, Chit, Ananda, Parat, Para. These are all indicatory words. And so those indicatory words point to you who is already self-effulgent, self-evident, who doesn't need to be told that you exist. And when they point to you as all-knowing, all Brahman, all Bhagavan, then what happens? That identification with the smallness, with the body, with the limited body, mind, sense complex drops. That is what is how it goes. So therefore, you can't have this new age half-baked understanding, I am God. It is not a direct understanding. You will still be a devotee. Jnani is also a bhakta, but that jnani knows I am non-separate from Bhagavan. It's a cognitive effort. It's a cognitive understanding. It's not something that has to be manufactured. So Sarvan Purayati iti Purusha. So this Purusha alone I am, and this Purusha is what? Purusha is person. That's the meaning of the word Purusha. There's only one person. Uttama Purushastvanyah Paramatmetyudahritah यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्त्यव्यय ईश्वरः. There's only one being, Purusha. That is Ishvara, and that is who I am. I'm non-separate from that one reality, one conscious existent being who is all knowledge and without any limitations. That I am. This is what is the understanding. Like I said, Ashvalayana puts us in doubt. Is this the answer to the question? Is this who is talking? Is Lord Brahmaji talking, or is this the question? And if already the questioner knows so much, why does he need a guru here? You know, very interesting. And but here Ashvalayana displays his candidacy, as an exalted candidacy. Parat param purusham yati vidvan. The sage, the knowledgeable person, goes to this Purusha. Goes means sees, attains oneself as this Purusha. This Purusha is nothing but the Bhagavan within, which is free of raga dveshas, which is free of the angular, jagged, ragged, jaded, faded personality. The personality is lost. When the personality is gone, Purusha prevails. All those angular raga dveshas, all these preferences, prejudices, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, etc., all these, difficult to, these recalcitrant, resistant emotions, difficult to deal with, all of them are tamed. And then the Purusha appears, manifests within. Appears means was always there, is seen as you, is owned up as you. Please teach me that. you know and what does Lord Brahmaji do? He had two options. He could have said, oh, I am not your teacher, go your way, find somebody else. Or he could have accepted Ashvalayana as the student. And here, naturally, when somebody comes to you with so much fervor, so much passion, so much understanding, and all that is perhaps shining on the face of Ashvalayana, and it is evident Lord Brahmaji is moved, and then he responds. And what does he say? Tasmai sahovacha pitamahascha. Tasmai, unto him, saha, Lord Brahmaji, ha, a long time ago, because, the Upanishad wants to show that this knowledge is timeless, and it has been coming to us from Bhagavan from a long time ago to underscore the veracity of the knowledge and the authenticity of the source. Ha is used. Ha means a long time ago. Uvacha replied, who? Pitamahascha. Pitamaha, the great grand sire of the universe. Because Lord Brahmaji created all these beings, and the beings created many more beings, and those beings created many, many more beings. And so what do we have here? Lord Brahmaji is the great grand sire of the universe. Pitamahascha, the elderly person. And again, the elderly person here is a great source of knowledge, because there is confidence. You don't go to a baby for Brahma Vidya, and rarely will you go, even though in the tradition we have the Lord Dakshinamurti, who is 16 years old, Lord Ayyappa, all these examples are there, but those are exceptions rather than the rule. Because in this knowledge, experience is valued, because that experience is gained through through Shama, Dama, etc. One gains a lot of qualifications. And so, all these gray hairs are valued, this experience is valued, wrinkles are valued. And so pitamahascha, another way of authenticating the knowledge. And he just says one word, which is actually a whole compound: Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yoga Davehi. Avehi Janihi. May you recognize, you know, please recognize what? This Brahman, this Parat Param Purusham that you wanted to know, you know, that one who is unafflicted by Maya. Either, Ishvara, of course, doesn't come under the spell of Maya, and Jiva, losing the self ignorance, is also free of Maya. And so the cloak may remain, but the cloak becomes what? Falsified, as it were. I can see beyond the cloak. I may be wearing the cloak, but I don't identify with the cloak. That is the whole idea. And so, how do you gain this knowledge? He gives a formula. He gives a recipe for gaining this knowledge, which is going to be the topic for the rest of this session and the next. So he says, Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogad Avehi. So, by resorting to a combination of Shraddha here is Astikya Buddhi, we'll be seeing this in detail, Bhakti, devotion, and then Dhyana, contemplative inquiry, contemplation, and which is manifest as a contemplative inquiry. So, to some kind of an antaranga sadhana he gives, where these three words, antaranga sadhana means an inward practice, a cultivation of an inward practice through these three words: Shraddha, Bhakti, and Dhyana. Very, very beautiful. We can go on and on. I mean, in fact, I'll have to shorten everything quite a bit, because this is just an unending discussion. So Shraddha here means, that which is Astikya Buddhi. Astikya Buddhi means the ability to have a mindset that can look upon the Veda, including Vedanta, as an independent means of knowledge. That is what is Shraddha. Please listen carefully. This is what is Shraddha. Shraddha is translated as faith and all. That is just a, colloquial understanding. It's not wrong. But it's a colloquial understanding. To have a complete understanding of what it takes to gain this knowledge, we have to see what this really means. Shraddha means what here? Shraddha means, Astikya Buddhi. Astikya Buddhi is not a belief. It's the attitude with which I look upon the Veda. And I mean, we saw in the first class itself what is the attitude with which we have to see the Veda. We have to see the Veda as a source of absolute and relative hitam. Relative hitam, first portion of the Veda. Absolute hitam. Hitam means well-being and comfort for all. Hitam is, absolute hitam, knowing oneself as free of needing any hitam. That is what, is the last portion of the Veda, Upanishad, Vedanta, etc. gives. So the Veda together with Vedanta, what is it? It is something that is telling me that is good for me. This is what is called Shraddha. But then so many people come along, so many books will say, if you go to the bookshop, and then there is one what is called self-help section in the bookstore. Especially in airports, etc., you find this self-help section. Bookshops also have this, which have half the titles begin with DIY. What is DIY? Do it yourself. And if ever you find a book, DIY Vedanta, please don't buy it. Because Vedanta is not DIY. You cannot do that, because you yourself come in the way. That's why the Upanishads is not to be read. It is to be listened to again and again until the ajnanam is, utsaritam, is driven away. Until the ajnanam is driven away, it is to be, repeatedly listened to. You are free to go read the Upanishad. What will you hear? You'll read Chandogya Upanishad. You are that. Aha, next. Nothing goes in. No infrastructure, nothing goes in. You turn the page. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, all this that is here is verily Brahman. You say, I don't think this is possible. Next, you know, and then what? You Mandukya Upanishad, I am Atma Brahma. Next, you don't think the I am Atma, this you that you think of as 5 feet so many inches tall and as having a limited mind, a limited emotions, limited bank account. This one you are Brahman. Not possible. If I was Brahman, why would I feel miserable? And then you come in your own way. Your own infrastructure comes in your own way. Why? Because the book, has to be activated. The book is, the words of the book are indeed a means of knowledge, but they are, what is that? Dead Shabda Rashi. They come under a regular branch of knowledge that is called Aparavidya. Shabda Rashi, they're just a heap of words. Angiras, the guru, tells his student Shaunaka in the Mundaka Upanishad, this is all a heap of words, because he says, what is this knowledge gaining which I can gain everything? And two forms of knowledges are there that have to be studied, apara and para. And what is apara? Apara, he starts with a very big list. Rigveda, Rigveda includes Aitareya Upanishad. That is relative knowledge, that's not absolute. How strange. Okay, Yajurveda, and Yajurveda includes so many Upanishads, starting with Katha Upanishad, etc., etc. And then, what is that? That is also a heap of words. They don't do anything to you. You can buy all the books, you adorn the bookshelf, nothing happens. And then what? Sama Veda, oh, Chandogya Upanishad gone. Kena Upanishad gone. So that is also not he's not going to free me. No, not the words of the book, not the book. The book is not going to free you. The words also ununderstood are not going to free you. You can have a discussion. You can become a scholar. You can become a Vedanta PhD. Now lots of these, what is that, graduate studies are cropping up all over the USA and in other countries. you know Unfortunately or fortunately, I am teaching in one of those places. Occasionally I offer a class. So it's a mixed blessing, because do you want to live the knowledge or do you want to discuss the knowledge? That is the difference. If you want to discuss the knowledge, by all means hoard the Upanishads, hoard the Bhagavad Gita and all the bhashyas, and rattle off all the bhashyas that are written for the Bhagavad Gita, Madhusudana and this Kavi and Anandagiri and of course Adi Shankara, all these things, and rattle off who has written the bhashya for this, and then this is not a scholarly pursuit. A scholarly pursuit treats Upanishad as a different branch of knowledge than you. Then you start counting how many times the word Ishvara comes, and is Durga a tribal deity or an Upanishadic deity? Who cares? you know Understand the essence of Durga. What is this Durga you understand? That is what is important. But people make the mistake of just sort of this, it is very easy to be beguiled and keep the ahankara in place as the master of the Upanishad by writing books and then spewing all kinds of things. And so that doesn't take you anywhere, that doesn't free you. You may write 1,000 books, you may read 2,000 books, but then what? Like Narada, you will be secretly admitting to yourself, Soham. Soham here is not Aham Brahmasmi. Soham here is Hoham. I am a humdrum person. Soham Shochami. I am still subject to sorrow. Yes, samsari, very, very sorry. I am a samsari. After what? You are a scholar of the Upanishads. Not enough. That's why it is Aparavidya, incomplete, without being active. activated by the Guru without being understood as a pramana, as a means of knowledge. So the words of the Upanishad are activated by the teacher, because you come in your own way when you read it. So therefore Shravanam, listening to it, becomes a sadhana, the mukhya sadhana, the primary means of knowledge to understand this. Because it's very confusing, and this is where Shraddha comes in. It is very confusing because I feel like I'm a knower. I know this pen, I know that it has a little point and it's a medium point. Some ball points are very small point, this is a medium point. And sometimes you use the pen for calligraphy, it has got a thicker point. All these things are there. I know the pen, I know the computer, I know the I know this, I know that. But the knower is still in place, correct? And so there is a subject object difference. So what do I have as in my hands as a means of knowledge? I have a few what is called Mula Pramanani. What are these Mula Pramanani? These Mula Pramana means the primary, ways of knowing are the five sense organs, which is called as one means of knowledge. Pratyaksha. Aksham prati pratyaksha. So this I see, I hear, I pick up smells, I taste, I touch. This is what it is. These are the five means of knowledge. Based on this, you have other means of knowledge available to you. What is the next means of knowledge? I mean, what is another means of knowledge that is available to you? You can infer. Inference. One step inference, anumana, more than one step inference, arthapatti. All these are means of knowledges. Because you look outside, the roads are all wet, and of course it is already monsoon season, and you say it must have rained. You didn't see the rain, you didn't hear the rain. You were in nirvikalpa samadhi, you were enjoying undisturbed samadhi sleep. But then what? You understood that, you look at the roads, you see that they are wet, and you infer the rain. And then what? Other things of inferences, more than one step inference, like medical discoveries, how the coronavirus behaves and how it is transmitted, and why you have to wash hands all the time, like your life depended on it. All these are discoveries requiring more than one step inference. They observe the outbreak. Aha, so many people. Aha, they were indoors. Aha, they were not wearing masks. And therefore there is this cluster infection from one birthday party. They are able to, deduce. This is what is called arthapatti. This also you can do. You don't need a guru for this. You don't need a guru for, seeing a bird flying in the sky. You can do this directly. You don't need a guru to say it has rained yesterday. You can do that. So in addition to these three, pratyaksha, anumana, arthapatti, we have two more at our behest. We have what is called, upama. Not what you are going to have for breakfast, but that is upma. Upama means comparison. Like if I were to tell you that, there is this animal in India that is called Neel Gai, and it looks like it is a cross. It looks like a bison, but it's got the muscles and the strength of a horse. It's got kind of a body build, the bone build of a horse, but it looks like a bison. Then when you go see this Neel Gai, you will say, aha, that is upama. By comparison, we know many things. We'll say it is just like this. Like supposing you can't find something, you're asking somebody to find something for you. Just say it's in that box. Which box? The other day we were looking in that white box. It is like the white box, but a little smaller. Upama. It's a means of knowledge. Then finally we have at our behest one more means of knowledge called anupalabdhi, the cognizance of absence. It's not absolute absence, because there cannot be absolute absence which can be cognized because the cognizer is present. The cognizer, the presence of the cognizer cancels the possibility of absolute absence. There is no absolute absence. I mean, that's as good as saying you don't exist. If you say the truth of the world is nothing, who is saying? Are you existent or not? And if you are nothing, how can you say that there is nothing? If you are nothing and nobody, you cannot cognize nothing. If you cognize something, if you cognize nothing, there is the presence of something, and that something is you. Therefore, we don't have a word for zero. The zero reveals the hero, that is you. We have a word for zero, which is pujya. Shunya is there, but that is, that is not used in the Shastra. You know, Shunya is there, but Pujya. Pujya means what? When I say there is nothing here in this room is empty. Who does it reveal? It reveals me, the most worshipful one according to Vedanta. So beautiful, even in the language, we have this oneness. We have Kaivalya in the everyday language. This is not something to be scoffed at, something to really assimilate. So then, this is there a pot in the palm of my hand? You say no. Why? Because you don't see the absence, but you know pot, you know the palm of hand, and you don't cognize the pot where I say it should be. So these are the five means of knowledge. How are you going to use this to know yourself? You can't, pick up a smell of yourself, body may have certain smells, but you can put some scent and say, okay, I smell like a rose, but Atma doesn't have, doesn't smell like a rose. Atma doesn't have, what is that? Atma cannot be seen, cannot be heard. So the pratyaksha is gone, all five sense organs gone, mind gone, vak gone. Vak means speech, speech is gone. It is not describable. Yattadadreksham agrahyam avarnam agotram apani padam. It doesn't have feet, it doesn't have hands, it cannot be described. It cannot be, it cannot, doesn't have a form. How are you going to describe it? Pratyaksha gone. Oh, I infer, I exist. In fact, somebody tried that. His name was he was a philosopher, Descartes. Descartes was a French philosopher who said, what did he say? I think, therefore I am. So that means when Descartes slept, he didn't exist because he was not thinking in sleep. Did he exist in sleep or not? Yes, because he woke up the next morning to say, I think, therefore I am. This was a classic case of putting Descartes before day horse. This is what it is. You can't say, I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I think. Fortunately, Sadbuddhi prevailed before he died, and he said, no, I am, therefore I think. He changed this. He changed what he said earlier. So you cannot infer. So arthapatti gone, anumana gone, one step inference gone, multi-step inference gone. You cannot know yourself through these things. And then you cannot know yourself. Atma, I am like. Atma is like what? It is Kevala. It's the only thing there is. It is incomparable because there is nothing like it. There is nothing unlike it. There is nothing other than it. It doesn't have a daddy. It doesn't have a mummy. Who are you going to compare it to? So comparison gone. And in fact, even all the Vedanta poets struggle to, to compare the Atma to perhaps sky, space, because it is all pervasive. That's all. They have very limited examples. Space or sun, that's all. Sun because it is, self-effulgent. Space because it is all pervasive. Those are the only two as though comparisons. So then what? What is left? Anupalabdhi. Therefore I must not exist. Great conclusion. You must be a Brihaspati. Of course, when you say in Sanskrit you must be a Brihaspati, that is just a joke. You cannot conclude you are not, because you very much are. You very much are an existent being. How can you conclude that you don't exist? So therefore, all five means of knowledge that you operate as a conscious knower are out of your reach. They are completely out of your reach. You can kiss them goodbye. So how are you going to know? That's why you need to introduce Vedanta as a sixth pramana. Shabda Pramana, whose what is that, deployment through somebody who handles the Pramana, a qualified Guru who handles the Pramana, unfolds it to you, then only you see it. Because the Guru takes the ahankara out of the way, and teaches you despite your own resistance, teaches you despite your own resistance, you know, with compassion. With compassion, because that Guru had gone through the same thing. It is not that the Guru sat under, some tree and got the knowledge by itself. The Guru did the hard work of, processing the pain, the sorrow, the fear, and going to the teacher and working, and that the same, Tadeva Margena, through the same road, the Guru is going to lead you. That is why you need the teacher, and the attitude of surrender to the teacher and to the Veda as a pramana, as an independent means of knowledge, is Shraddha. This is what is Shraddha. This is what it takes. I have to be able to see the teacher. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satya Buddhi Avadharana Sa Shraddha Kathitha Sadbhihi Yaya Aksharam Adhigamyate. So, Shastrasya, with reference to the Shastra, the Vedanta, book of Vedanta, the knowledge, Guru Vakyasya, with reference to the words of the teacher, Satya Buddhi Avadharana. Avadharana means what? The ability to hold on to that benefit of doubt. Yes, I cannot see it yet, but what they must be saying is true. That is what is Shraddha. Giving the benefit of doubt, allowing the pramana to operate itself. Because in other means of knowledge, you operate the pramana, you are the knower, and you say, I, deploy, I see with my own eyes, I, I hear with my own ears. Actually, even the eyes and ears, you think you operate, but you don't really operate. Like I told you, if I put this pen here and say, please look at my eyes, but don't see the pen, do you have a choice? No. So where is the choice in operation of the pramana? You can just have the choice to open the eyes, so period. That's all. But you cannot really will not to see. You cannot even will, for example, to see. If there is something to see, if the eyes are open, if the pramana is there and the prameya, that which is to be known, is there, the prama takes place, knowledge takes place instantaneously. We already saw this. It's very, very profound. And we'll have more of a chance in the evening's session to go over this, but I want you to listen to this carefully, and this is very important, extremely important, to understand that this knowledge, this pramana is something where I have to let go of agency, kartritvam. Yes, it is very confusing, because where is the knowledge taking place? In the mind. In whose mind? Not the neighbor's mind, my own mind. Because I approach the Veda, I approach the Guru, I am sitting in front of the Guru, and the Guru is teaching me. So I approached, the Guru, and so then it is taking place in my mind. But then I don't have a choice. The mind is merely a receptacle of the knowledge, a place where the knowledge takes place, because it has the buddhi, the ability to cognize that knowledge. The mind is not an agent of knowledge. The moment we make the mistake of seeing the mind as an agent of knowledge, the knowledge cannot take place. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. This is the Taittiriya Upanishad reiterating this point. And what does the Taittiriya Upanishad say? Once upon a time, the mind and the speech, who are great friends, skipped hand in hand. Like, children along a road. And they said what? We are going to conquer Brahman and bring it to the whole universe. and they got a big send off. Let's say in the village that they lived in, everybody put garland and tilak and did arati and sent them. Yes, nobody knows Brahman. You please bring back. How to you bring it back? You catch Brahman and bring it back. So they went after a big send off. Yato vacho nivartante, from which the mind came back. Sadly, aprapya, having not gained Brahman as an object, of knowledge. Along with a sad speech. Speech could not describe Brahman, mind could not capture Brahman. They both came back kicking a pebble along the road on the way back, and they went back into the village. They, even though they went away with such a big send off because everybody was excited for them, they came back skulking in the middle of the night because they were ashamed. They were ashamed to not be able to objectify this, unable to objectify. So it is not in your hands. The mind is simply a place where the knowledge takes place. Jagatah adhishthanasya upalabdhisthanam eva manaha. So this mind is just a place where the adhisthana of you, the source of you, the truth of the Jagat, the truth of Ishvara, that is what is revealed. The mind is simply a place. You have to make it ready for the knowledge. It has to lend itself to being a place. That lending the mind to the teacher, giving the mind to the teacher to reveal that knowledge is what is called Shraddha. Trusting that the knowledge will take place, because what I am is already non-separate from this, from this which I want to seek. This is what is Shraddha. So although the first five means of knowledge you think you operate because they are centered on the body mind sense complex, you identify with the mind, you identify with these knowledges, they seem atmiya, they seem what is that, intimate to you. And this one comes like, it looks like it's coming from outside. Some guru is there and some book is there, and then you have to trust the guru to reveal this to you. In fact, what is this guru? It is you. It is you cannot yet see. The guru models the abidance in your own glory, which you are on the way to emulate very soon. So the guru is you. Ishvara is you. But for the sake of the learning, we make this artificial divide, so that this becomes the last frontier of duality, where I make this artificial divide. Bho Guru, I am your Shishya. I say, I am your Shishya, and then please teach me. I beg for this knowledge, because I know. And this is what Ashvalayana knows. This is what makes Ashvalayana a great student. This is what has prepared Ashvalayana for this knowledge. He knows he cannot do this by himself. He knows that the Veda, which is Hitam, teaches me the absolute Hitam, will show me this, will reveal to me despite myself. In fact, the knowledge doesn't take place because of you. The knowledge takes place in spite of you. Yeah, because this is so interesting. It's full of paradoxes. This non-dual knowledge is given through an artificial construction of duality, Ishvara, Guru, Atma, etc. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, it is all talked about like this. That is the first paradox. Second paradox, in order to know about myself, I have to supplicate to another human being, another person. Second paradox. Third paradox, that this knowledge is in the form of words, but the book also is in the form of words, but the book is dead knowledge. It has to be made alive. Fourth paradox, the knowledge takes place in spite of myself. Despite myself, despite being full of ragadveshas, somehow the knowledge takes place. The guru has to go through the obstacle course, which is my mind, and somehow lead me to this knowledge. Obstacle course, we have like children's races, little hurdles. Raga, dvesha, ahankara, fears, tears, all these things, resistance, all these things the guru, swerves the obstacles and leads you to the innermost chamber, the sanctum sanctorum of yourself. That is what the whole thing is. But the guru holds your hand and leads you. Sometimes, like the child, though the jiva is kicking, screaming, not now, I am seeing an ice cream here, I want balloon, I want ice cream. That also the guru says, okay, you come along, take the balloon, come along. Guru says, doesn't matter, because the guru knows without balloon this person will not come along. Balloon, ice cream, etc. is karma yoga, along, along with, all the pursuits. I'm also pursuing moksha. Moksha is foremost, but, I have other, subservient pursuits, which I say, Guru says, come along. Yeah, but I have a spouse. Bring the spouse. I have children. Bring them also. No problem. Come along. Nobody is left behind. This is the beauty of it. This is so, so wonderful. It is just fascinating. This is Shraddha, the ability to trust that in this obstacle course, which is my head, the Guru will still find a way through in this cave, in this guha, full of stalactites of doubts, stalagmites of despair, and the bats of division which are flying around. I will still I will still have darshan of myself as Bhagavan. This trust pending understanding is called Shraddha. Please equip yourself with that. The student here, Ashvalayana, is advised, because this is the first and in fact the only thing that is needed. If Shraddha is there in full measure, all the other things come along. Shraddha is the master key, to qualify for this knowledge, to cultivate which, one needs some more, understanding, which we will be seeing in the last session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Swaminiji, for yet another very insightful session. I think we have three questions. The first one is, I feel like I have understood the content of your talk, but it evaporates soon. Can you suggest a book or something which, gives the essence of your talk? Do you think Vedanta Sara of Sadananda Yogi or Atma Bodha will help me assimilate the thoughts you have given us?
Yes,
Please guide.
yes, all those books will help. You can please read, but as I told you, this is not ye shravan karna hai. You have to listen repeatedly. Listen to other talks. There is one, what is that? I have one, what is that? Indica Academy has been kind enough to give me one live stream site where all the talks are archived. So I'm going to write the address of that in the chat pod, so you can listen to any what is that? Any text that you feel like. All the things are there, so you can look at that, and I will also write the website. uh, you can go to the ashram website also. Listening is key, because reading you get in your own way. Reading, what happens, you whatever, you doubt yourself, you second guess yourself, and you keep saying I know, and you gloss over the things. It is not possible to gain this. You have to because it is lost immediately. It's as though lost. It's not really lost, it is there with you, but since it appears to be as though lost, that means a little more abidance is needed in that. So please do shravanam of some more texts. So anupalabdhi is very simple. Is there a pen in my hand? Yes. Is there a pen in my hand? No. Anupalabdhi is the absence of something in a specific place. This you can cognize. It's not total absence. It is not absolute absence, because there is no absolute absence. Okay, that's all it is. Yeah, it's a means of knowing the absence of something. Should I restrict myself to one guru? Well, that is what is generally advised, not because the guru has some ego that I have, that one has to have followers, but it is, generally advised because you resonate with the person and you resonate with the way of talking and the certain, what is that, technical concepts and the explanations they deploy. Because sometimes if you listen to too many people, they may all be sound knowledge, they may all be saying the same thing, but you don't feel like, you don't you may get confused. Somebody says Brahman, somebody says Bhagavan, somebody says Ishvara, and all those terms, if they are not understood properly, can be confusing. So if you are a serious student, it is beneficial to listen to one, maybe two people, one or two people you can just listen to. And or you can stick, if that's not possible, you can stick to one parampara, like Arshavidya, or Chinmaya, whatever it is, whatever resonates with you. You stick to one Vedanta parampara, sound parampara, and then, that is also okay. The next question I refer to Nitin, because I don't know, is this going to be available on YouTube?
Yes, yes, it will be. It is already being live streamed on YouTube.
Okay.
You can check it out. And I also wanted to add that Swaminiji's lectures are also on Advaita Academy YouTube channel. So you people interested can check out the videos there as well.
Yeah, and then in the chat box, somebody has written this very sweet and touching note, but not quite true. Let me read that. Somebody said, what was that? Where is that? I'm trying to look. Can you find it,
Which
Nitin?
one?
Look in the chat. I'm
Yeah.
unable to open it for some reason.
Uh,
Here we are. Yeah, somewhere it was said. Yeah, here it is. Neela says, I wish I could find a guru like Swamini ji. Of course, it is not possible. Why do you conclude like that? You know, why do that is a conclusion. The desire is valid, yes, but it is a conclusion. And the conclusion is based on your observation. I need to do the preliminary work first without a time frame. Yes, ideally speaking, yes, but realistically speaking, the adhikaritvam, the candidacy, the qualifications are gained side by side with the teaching. Yes. So, so please continue to do Shravanam. Listen, as often as possible. Listen to this, the teachings, and then it will continue to speak to you. Okay? Yeah. Are there any other questions?
that's all, Swaminiji, for this session. Uh,
Wonderful.
we come to the conclusion of this morning session, and evening we have the final session in this week's Weekend with Wisdom. Please do not miss that, everyone. Thank you again, Swaminiji,
Thank
for
you.
yet another wonderful session.
Thank you.
Shri
Om
Guru
Namah
Pyo
Shivaya.
Namaha.
Om Namah Shivaya.